Hey Tada, welcome back. It is time for another installment of the Vodacom Diski Chats. And this week we are carrying on, of course, with the conversation that we started with my fantastic team here of Football Brains. We've got referees, we've got players, we've got journalists, as we look back on the 2023-2024 PSL season. So let's get right back into it again, shall we? Right, Coach, when we come to your moment, your moment is, for me, wasn't just a moment of a season. It's been like a moment of the last 5 seasons. I can't remember a performance like this one in a long time.
Absolutely, and you look at Stellenbosch, they got promoted in 2019, and 5 seasons in there, they almost got relegated, but in the first season, they maintained. The second season, but they were starting to re-establish and find themselves. Then you saw them beating a Pirates. You saw them coming through. You saw Arenas moving to Supersport, coming back. Now they're starting to sell players. You look at a Dupree that's left for them. Tetwa left for them. Kwinyika left for them. Also Makanya, the centre back, up and coming, left for them. Now those are key players, young players that were key, and they were, you know, part of the culture. They also lost an Ashwin in there, the youngster. Now they really looked at themselves and said a business model needs to come, which is what Sundowns has, which is what Chiefs used to have, Pirates used to have, all those big teams, Supersport, Vets used to have a business model, and Stellies went into that. Now, with all these players gone, they are senior players. Then they started brewing youngsters with the genetic makeup of Cape Town. The Western Cape, they're athletic, they are young boys, they are mostly colored, you have white boys, even the black boys that are there, they are very athletic and all of that. It's not the most skillful like what you find inland. And they took advantage of that and created a culture and a style of understanding of how they want to compete in the league, because they are losing players that are not generally from the Western Cape. Now that worked out for them, because we saw a Stellenbosch team that said we lost a Dupree, but we'll produce even more Duprees that come through. What did we see? We saw your Van Rooyens that were coming through. We saw even the goalkeeping for them wasn't as brilliant, but they had goalkeepers that were important for them. Your Stephens, all of them, Langfeld that's retiring now, bringing in a Masuluke in there to say, we are a team that plays with crosses and all of that. We need a goalkeeper that will also help us with that. Uncharacteristic of them to bring in a Masuluke. Now you look at the coach that's there, and most importantly, I think they spoke about Sundowns that was firing coaches and the fans, but they stuck with Steve Barker, because he comes from a development side of things from Amatax, where he built so many players, Abojali, Yendes, all of those players, Peño Mongalos, they come from his hands at Tax. Now he's at Stellenbosch, he's doing the same thing, which means he had a vision and came into a club that had a vision to say, what do you think? How can we go with this? What is our genetic makeup in this province, in the competition that we are playing in? There's a vision that's there. And they came out right and said, we are building something. We are not where we want to be, but we are building something. And they were not just talking about it. And I'm saying that their business model changed, because you see the youngsters that went and won the DDC. They went to England, they played and won there. Those youngsters, the following season, where did they go? They got promoted because the environment was preparing them for the Premier Division in the PSL. So those youngsters came through. Abu Van Veek, all of them, they came through. Ashwin, they came through. It's youngsters that were in a system. Whilst Abom Tetwa, the seniors, were there, underneath they were building and doing something there. They come through, they start going. Now they're not beating only their fellow counterparts there in the bottom 8. They are going for the big guns with character. That Stellenbosch team, they played a cup game, Pitori against Sundowns. Sundowns narrowly won that cup game. I think Dupree was still in that team as well. Now Reina's coming back, researched. He comes into a team where he was 2 seasons at Supersport, scored not more than 10 goals. He comes in 10 matches that he plays, he scores more than 11 goals in the previous season. This season, he's one short of a top scorer. Why? It's not only him. Now, I picked him in the 5 matches, in the 5 goal thriller that he had, the manner in which he scores. the manner in which he defends his case to say, South Africa, you wanted me in AFCON, you were right. He was proving us right, and he was proving himself right. He was consistent in that. And it's not just him, but the culture that we are seeing on the 5 seasons that are there for Stellenbosch. I mean, 25 matches unbeaten in a particular style. They were true to their gene, and I always go back to their genes, their genetic makeup, to say, we know we are a hard-running team. We are a team that technically we will work on it to suit our style. The type of opposition we play against, we are not going to be naive like the previous seasons. The coach looked at it. You could see with how they were investing into it, their own facilities. Now, can I take it further to even them bringing a women's team to them? Because they were preparing for CAF to say, we're going to get to CAF, but we have to prepare now, not when we start playing CAF. And they are doing it the right way. We've never had a team, anyone from Stelly saying late payments, these players didn't train here, this didn't happen there. Everything has just been running smoothly. They might not be getting big paychecks and all of that, but that is not by chance. It's success that is coming organically. So you can just say, I can hear us saying Pirates can contest Sundowns and all of that. That Stelly's team will be the one that competes, not with Sundowns only. Because every team in the league, they want to compete with Sundowns, then lose only 6 points and would beat everyone else. But they're not doing that. But Stelly's is beating everyone else. They don't care who you are, and that is the consistency. So their experience is coming through, is growing because of how they are doing things. And the youngsters that are coming in there, which is to Ipoint Egampo, to say, Stelly's has been one that has given us youngsters and have been successful with it. Supersport, they tried. They're still in the top 8. The coach has been exposing youngsters. Chiefs is one that denied themselves a moment to shine because they've had the youngsters that have come through. Abo Shabalala, Abo Nobo, those youngsters were coming through. You were mailing about my president or my 2000. But they are not doing that because the environment is not organically helping them to grow and come up into Bafana Bafana. And the under 23s, you know, the under 20s, Stellenbosch, under 17, under 15, under 17, under 20, under 23, those players, you find them there, even in the Bafana team. So that Stelly's for me was something mind-blowing this season, and I just want to see what they're going to produce in the coming seasons.
So from your point of view, it wasn't just about one moment of the season, but if there was an award for the club of the season, Stelly's would be it. And I think that, yeah, you captured it beautifully in terms of this, what they achieved this season. Definitely, I think when we're talking about Sundowns and Pirates, when you're having the discussion about who had the most successful season, I think Stelly's should be in with a shout there. Sia, you want to answer the question I asked you originally?
No, I've buried that topic. I just wanna add on what Coach Shoti was talking about. I think because I mentioned earlier on that leagues are won based on eras. If you recognize the particular area, then you adjust to those trends. Then you are able to compete properly. And I think Stellenbosch are giving us that now, because if you look at entirely at the shape of our football, you can see that it requires, or there's a demand for a renewal in terms of talent recruitment, the quality of talent that is being brought up. There's a need, there's a cry for breeding of a new era of superstars. So now the trend that Stellenbosch are bringing is actually might define the new era that would speak to our football, because now it's about, you know, bringing up young players. It's about focusing on bringing up young players from your DDC team and then exposing them and giving them an opportunity. And while you're doing that, competing and getting the results. And that's something that has been a problem for many teams, big teams like Kaizer Chiefs, like Orlando Pirates. I'm not gonna mention Sunderland because they can just go out and get whatever player that they want. Yes, but these other teams, especially a team like Kaizer Chiefs, where there's been a need for them to be able to get right, recruiting players, young players, breeding them, and then exposing them in the first team and competing properly and getting the results, which is something that they haven't been able to do. So this trend that is being set by Stellenbosch of being able to put all of that together, put the recruitment, giving an opportunity to youngsters, but also having a coach that is tactically solid to put the right structure in the team and then be able to get the results, is going to be a model to the other teams for them to be able to do that, which might define where we are going as far as football is concerned. Because like I said, there is a need for teams to start breeding fresh, new, quality talent into our league.
Yeah, Mazola, your moment.
Yes,
it's actually more than just a moment as well, because I think that moment itself also almost defined. But let me let you say it.
Yeah. My moment was when Sundowns, the day they actually won the league title, at
As
FNB.
opposed to September.
Yes, when they officially got enough points to be mathematically too far to be caught. It was at FNB Stadium playing against the not so mighty Kaizer Chiefs. You know. And I think
Shots fired.
Yeah, I mean, Sundowns have over the seasons they've been winning the league. They've been beating Kaizer Chiefs with some relative ease, if you would like to argue. Yes, there were moments here and there where Chiefs looked like they could spoil the party, maybe a draw or a narrow win, but 5-1 with the sporting director, both clubs, Fleming Berg and Kaizer Jr. sitting upstairs, Bobby Mutaung, Trotmoloto watching on. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a power shift, because the power long shifted with Sundowns dominating for as long as they've been dominating. But to go to Kaizer Chiefs, win the league title in their backyard and beat them 5-1.
Ouch.
And make Kaizer Chiefs look like they had fielded, academy graduates who couldn't.
Notwithstanding the red card.
Exactly, and I think even with the red card, Sundowns would had blown them away, because even in the opening stages of the match, they looked like they couldn't keep up. You could see just the huge gap, not just from a points perspective, but between the two sides as well. A lot of us here are talking about recruitment strategies and whatever. Yes, Sundowns have the paycheck to buy whoever they want. But at the same time, Chiefs' last 2 seasons, especially with Kaizer Jr. taking over as a sporting director, have not necessarily been shy to spend money. They bought Ashley Dupree for 10 million rands at Stellies. That's a lot of money. With 10 million rands, depending where you go, depending how smart you are with your recruitment, you could get more than just a single player. And then they spend 3 million to get Zita Gwinika as well. So they triggered Mtetwa's buyout clause. So when they want to spend, they spend. When they've got the mandate to try and compete, they go ahead and do it. But at the same time, they meet a team that has, by all accounts, obviously spent more. And then they can't keep up. You can see that Sundowns are just too far. I think that's why I'm terming it my defining moment, because if there were any doubts, because I think if Chiefs had won that game or drawn it, it would have papered over the cracks, the big cracks. They said, oh no, but we can compete with Mamelodi Sundowns.
We're close.
We are close. Yet, like Coach Shoti was mentioning, Stellies are beating their other rivals and not just focusing on Sundowns. But I think Chiefs would have said, oh no, but we can compete with these guys. We are matching them pound for pound. But I think losing 5-1 in that manner, in that fashion, where Kevin Johnson was speechless in his post-match interviews about what's gone wrong, it shows that Kaizer Chiefs have a long way to go. Someone said they need 15 new players to try and compete, and I am unfortunately maybe more. Maybe they need to overhaul the entire squad to actually get to compete.
Paul, you wanted to jump in on this one, and by the way, at the time of going to press, did Chiefs have a coach?
Yeah, that's. Do they have a coach?
Well, we're still waiting, and it's what now? It's June, and this is a team that started with a caretaker coach in October last year already. So much for planning, eh?
Speaking of which, so I hear Mazola speaking about the Kaizer Chiefs Sundowns moment for Kaizer Chiefs. And for me, I feel like getting rid of Umangete, that was the turning point for them. We were just talking now about having a recruitment process, having a plan. But it almost seems as though Kaizer Chiefs went to a point where they allowed the fans to dictate what must happen without actually saying, this is our plan, we're going to stick to it. No matter what happens, let us, like a Stellies, no matter what happens, let's stick to this particular coach. You know, when you have someone who has the DNA of the team within them, give them time. Allow them that opportunity. It is easier said than done, but like Coach Shorty was saying, when you have a plan and you know where you want to go, you will have that moment, your teething moments, right? Even with a child, you go through teething times and then the kid is crying and you will go through those moments, but believe in what it is that you have, that the outcome that you want. They did not believe in what they wanted. You can go out and get the best players in the world, but if you do not have a plan, nothing's going to happen for you.
Yeah, I was going to say that maybe the comfort that Steve Barker has is that, you know, he doesn't have the kind of pressure that a Kaizer Chiefs coach operates under, where he needs to get a result in every game. There's no coach who's going to get 3 years to build at Chiefs anymore. Unfortunately, they've lost that luxury because they've had a 9-year drought, which is going to be 10 years soon, you know. So you've lost that privilege of even saying to, or going to the fans to say, give us 3 years.
Yeah, look, I think they should do that, actually. I think this is the only way. Having changed coaches so much, I think that now you have to say, we have appointed somebody, we'll give them at least 2-3 years, and there's nothing you can do about it. I think they have to take their stance, because the changing of coaches has not worked. I mean, Mpo mentioned Arthur Zwane, and then Nzeki went to Kaizer Chiefs as what? Head of technical development, something like that. He found himself as a head coach, and 2 months later he was out of the job.
And Kevin the same.
Kevin Johnson the same. I have no idea why they kept him so long. Johnson should at least have been fired after losing to Melfort in that Nedbank.
Should he have gone back to the job that he was originally for?
I don't know whether he was. The Melfort game showed me conclusively that he has absolutely no idea what he's doing. Mazola mentioned the Sundowns game. Sundowns was 0-0 at halftime. 89th minute it was 3-1. Then by the end of the game it was 5-1. The 2 goals were considered with Chiefs players standing, not even moving. Like there's one pass which went through them. Nobody's closing on the Sundowns player who made the pass. So I think that told of coaching, bad coaching. I mean, the players are not pressing, they are not closing spaces, they are just standing there. I mean, the Losh goal, Losh was alone when he headed the ball. So that shows that Chiefs lacked a lot of coaching. I watched Chiefs games from FNB Stadium. The game that I can feel that they performed was the derby which they lost 3-2. And look at the last goal, how they considered the goal. Because they are standing, then there's a quick throw in, and Saleng scores. But if players are away, and even the coach were there, you can see there's a throw in. You tell the player, go there. You shout at them. But look at the Chiefs bench. Who's shouting? The players are shouting. That goalkeeper, the assistant, is now the assistant coach. I mean, it is bad. So the coach, I think they made a big mistake. But I understand why they kept him. They said, we've changed too much, so let's write off the season. But then it dragged them out of the top 8. You go to a relegated team in Cape Town and you lose.
Maybe it's not a bad thing that they're out of the top 8, because it puts pressure on the new coach if and when there is a new coach. Because immediately you're into a cup competition, fans want you to win it.
And you finish number 8, you play Sundowns first game.
This is it.
You know,
it could be awkward.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah. But I think the other issue here, Titi, is that and especially here in the PSL era, we've always known Kaizer Chiefs as this club where a coach will be there for the full duration of his contract. But if you go back since 2018, when Steve Khombela left,
that culture changed.
I think Chiefs from 2018 until now, they are now almost chasing 10 coaches in this period. And this is something that you've never seen from Chiefs. And you just look the last two coaches, Coach Ntseki and Coach Johnson, these were head of development at the club, and they end up being head coaches. Who's failing to plan for this, for that? And we're just talking about models now, you know, and this is something that has been uncharacteristic of Chiefs in the past, but it's happening regularly. We're talking about Chiefs that is still searching for a coach. They don't have a coach today. Some teams have already planned their pre-season. They know when they are coming back, who is doing what with them, who are they releasing based on the information of the coach. And if maybe you are still waiting for a coach who has not concluded the season somewhere, and you don't know what could happen with that process. You understand what I mean?
It's not a plan.
Yes. So that tells you already that the planning for the next season is already affected.
Okay. While you're at it, you want to give me your moment of the season?
Yeah, and talking of the moment of the season, you know, we're just talking about Stellenbosch, and I've always been a firm believer of a team that must impact the region where they come from. And this season, I have seen something different from a team from my province, Chippa United. Going into the last few weeks of the season, the team was not fighting relegation because I felt that at the beginning of the year, they made a wise decision and brought in Kwanele Kopo and Thabiso Tema as co-coaches. And I'm saying this in a league where sometimes deserving people are not given the right space, you know, because in other leagues you need coaches who qualify to sit on the bench, not because you are just an ex-player or you are my cousin, or like it's happening mostly in the NFD, I'm the owner, I just coach, you know.
But it's my team.
It's because it's my team.
You're the bus driver, you're everything.
At least those guys are honest enough to sit on the bench, unlike those that coach from up there.
With their piece of paper.
Yes. And you saw the footballing decisions, the quality of recruitment. Because now when you look at Kwanele Kopo, well, his story is well documented, going back to the early 2000s, coaching with Coach Pitso, the late Tony Matichage, which Coach Kevin as well. I was there with even Coach Stuart Baxter at some stage. But for me, he brought in also players that he's worked with at the under-17 national team, at the under-20, at the Olympic team as well. The likes of Malibu Khomadise, one player who had a fine season with Chippa United. And you look, when in fact Chippa even released Zuko Mdunyelwa to Sundowns, but they were still Thabiso Libitso as well, you know, two key players, you know, and these are players who have also went on to make an impact at the next clubs, and you just look at the quality of their clubs that they went to. So this also tells you that when the right footballing decisions are made at these clubs, they can transform clubs. And that's why, for me, you know, this model we're talking about of Stellis, because one of the other positive impact of Stellis is also their use of the sports science. Because you can go there, you'll find some of the top Olympians using that. And I think that is just now one element that is left of Chippa United, making sure that they use the skills of Coach Kwanele Kopo, because this is the man who also stole Tebogo Mokoena from Sundowns when they were scouting. Because if you look at the talent in the Eastern Cape, it's here in Joburg. It's also here in Cape Town, because people with resources will go and scout the talent there. But this is also the expertise that is got. And I'm saying these things because I know that we're always harsh on my chairman, Chippa United, Chippa Mbenges, because he can be trigger happy. But when he makes the right decisions, because also I don't think TT, there's any club that receives good funding from government than Chippa United. 2 municipalities and also from government as well. And I think in this world of sports tourism, where we want to see the cities that are investing in these teams benefiting, one of the things they want to see also is to see the talent coming from those areas. You saw towards the end of the season how a boy like Kwaiba was not just scoring goals, but he was the pride of the area, even getting a player of the month, you know. So I think when the city of Buffalo City spends close to 15 million rands on the team, maybe a similar amount of money also coming from Nelson Mandela Bay, that's what they want to see from their investment.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. You wanted to jump in, Coach?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and say, I think if it's not clear enough for the PSL and our football in South Africa that long-term athlete development is important, I don't know what's going to happen to our football. Mamelodi Sundowns might be taking it at the top in the second last stage of training to win, because that's who they are and what they are doing. Because you look at entities like the School of Excellence, your relays come from there. Sundowns got players that were from there, Ajax Cape Town. Everybody, when our football was at the prime and we were producing everything, we were doing so much, even exporting players. We had School of Excellence that was thriving, and it's dying now, which means we are going to lose a fraction of the future of football in South Africa. And Stellenbosch is doing that in their part in the Western Cape. Imagine what would happen if School of Excellences in Gauteng, in Limpopo, everywhere else, we had proper functioning School of Excellence that were recruiting players from primary school, getting them in there, high school, where they're training football, because sports science is the future. Injuries, periodization, all of those things, and there's teams that have the facilities but the knowledge of doing that. Are you hiring, like he was saying, are you hiring my friend because he has a bit of knowledge and a bit of experience, or are you hiring an expert that would come in who has certificates, qualifications of being a technical director, of being a sporting director, of being a... Sundowns was there with the agents in the world, because that's where football is going. Because South Africans need to understand that we are sleeping on ourselves so much so that we are still going to cry for the next 10 years for Sundowns, because they are way ahead of us. Their women's football is way ahead. They've got an under 15 girls team, under 13 girls team that is already hitting the ground running. So can you just imagine if a Sundowns can do that, if a Super Sport, a Pirates, a Chiefs, all of that could be able to do that, then it means there's structure holistically. So long-term athlete development is the way of the future, and that's what you are able to see with a Bellingham that is scouted one, he's 2 clubs down, because the first club up there is identifying him, because that way it means also the people that are up there, what do you call them? There's players, there's coaches and administrators that understand long-term athlete development. They'll understand that a coach that you bring in is a coach that has a certain culture. That's how Chelsea turned things around with Ancelotti coming to Chelsea. They are struggling now, but there's so much that has been done there because of that concept of long-term athlete development. We'll see the change in our football.
All right, I want to wrap it up with 2 men in the middle, the referees. A lot has been said about refereeing this season, and you know, you've both had your take on it in terms of I'm not sure whether you have, Daniel, whether you in terms of overall quality of refereeing. But this VAR debate is very interesting. That South Africans are clamoring for VAR, and everybody's talking about, well, we need VAR, we need VAR. There's an opposite discussion happening in the UK right now. They are saying they want it out. They don't even have it in the championship. They don't have VAR. Yeah, exactly. They want it out. So is it the answer? I mean, it's going to be a costly investment, first of all. I don't know if we've got those type of resources. Is that where they are best spent as a country?
It does cost a lot of money. I think it's $3 million US a year, which is, with our current exchange rate, it's a stack a lot of cash. So, and then there's the implementation. You've got to train, and you know, that's just for the $3 million is just for the equipment. So you need to have high-speed fiber. How are you going to get high-speed fiber from Cape Town Stadium to the PSL headquarters in a matter of load shedding. In the matter of 1 second, you know, those decisions have to happen quickly. That feedback has to happen quickly. So for me, we need it, definitely. The cost is exorbitant, and the reason why the EPL don't want it was because their whole implementation of VAR is poor. I mean, I think in the first season they had VAR. The whole season, out of the 300 and odd games, there was not one on-field review where the referee goes to the monitor. Not one in the whole season. Out of 300 and odd games, not one OFR. Then they tried to go the other way, then everything was OFR. When it was only a VAR decision, like whether a player's in an offside position or not. Now they've gone the other way.
And that annoyed the fans.
OFRs for it, where it's a matter-of-fact decision. So the English have totally messed it up. And unfortunately, I mean, I work for Belgium FA, and Gara was saying also the AFCON VAR, the way it worked was superb. The way it works in Belgium, for me, in the league I work for, it runs smoothly. In the Bundesliga, there's no problems. It's just that, unfortunately, the most watched league in the world is the EFL. So that's the benchmark that the world of football has regarding VAR. And it's not a true reflection of how VAR should work. So, yeah, they are voting it out, I think, this weekend. Most clubs are not happy with the way it's... I mean, it's affected most clubs in the
It's a case of the carpenter blaming the tools here.
There we go. I mean, it's affected most clubs, so probably some more than others. I mean, Liverpool Spurs game when there was that offside. That's league changing. That's not game changing. That's league changing, because now
Klopp would probably still be at Liverpool.
See? So I mean, it's that the momentum shifts when a team feels hard done by the VAR, because points are point, and unfortunately, it's costing the teams.
TV.
Yeah, Titi, I cannot minimize the minimum and I cannot maximize the maximum. What Bennett said about VAR, if it's implemented correctly with good education, not microwaved, then you'll get the good results. But there's something interesting that I have observed over the season, which is also educational. One was Dave Wome getting a second red card this season. When you get the first red card, you are suspended for 2 games. You get the next red card, 3 games. Now for him, Chiefs were left with 3 games. And when he got that red card on the 13th of May, when you play TS Galaxy, hey, there's always problems. Every time TS Galaxy plays, nowadays you must watch, there's something happening. And the good thing about it is that, one day I was in Egypt and they asked me, Mr. Victor, Mamelodi, very good. I said, yeah, very good. Orlando, very good. Yeah, very good. Kaiser, no good. I said, hey. I don't know, Sia. But these teams are known everywhere because they are no longer participating in the continental competition. So now people are asking there because at one stage Chiefs was very good. But now even people from outside are starting to question, Kaiser, no good. They can't say Sundowns, Mamelodi, Orlando, Kaiser. That's how they do it. And then the last one, also educational, TT, it's Mamelodi Sundowns. 2 things there. Remember, they are using gadgets to watch the game on the bench. I think they are the only team that are using the gadgets. So now, what does the law say? The law says when you watch something, you cannot confront the referee. I find it risky, man. When there's natural reaction in the game where you will see something and you say, Gomez sent off Wendell the other day for the same thing. So I don't know who's next. But if during my time with Bennett, we'll always watch and say, who's next? And then my experience, one day I'm watching a match. There's a player called George Acuna who used to play for Sundowns. This player had a ring in the mouth. Nobody could pick it up. One day I'm watching a match, he's running, he's taking his tongue out, and then I'm 4th official at Vets. He comes in as a sub. Then I inspect finger, rings. Then he thought I'm done. Then I said, hey, open the mouth. And I said, how did you find out? My friend, I'm not sleeping, I watch games.
Are you the referee that made Siyabonga Nkosi cut his nails?
No. That is another.
On the side of the pitch.
On the side of the pitch. It was at Vets,
Yeah. No, that was Cedric Mouban. Yeah. And then my last moment is, you remember this?
Oh, yes.
What was that now?
Sundown Stellenbosch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, also educational moment because, I mean, the assistant referee took the flag out. He was no longer in the game, Zakhele, when he got injured. And then what then happens? Do we stop the game? What if it was a referee having muscle pull like that? So in that situation, the referee handled it very well because play continued. Fortunately, it went out. But if there was an offside situation, now we expected the referee to take over because the law says if the referee is incapacitated, the assistant referee play should continue under the supervision of the assistant referee. So now in this case, the referee has to now take over, all the roles. And unfortunately, in that game, the tactical awareness of the coach, Rulani, because Divine Lung was supposed to be sent off for Spa. Now, we saw a lot of learning there where Rulani felt, hey, this one is going to be sent off. What do I do? While the referee is concentrating on Zakhele, he sneak him out. I don't call it substitute. He sneak him out.
He learned from his uncle.
From his uncle.
Yeah.
So,
Jomo did that
exactly.
with Benny McCarthy, yes.
So, to the referees, what does it say? To the referee. And if I'm not mistaken, the referee was in hot water after that incident because he should have sent him out.
Missed it.
He missed it. But now, as a referee, when you are sitting at home watching that, you're like, if it was me, how will I have reacted? I would have taken the second yellow out, but then it's a big lesson for our referees to say, tomorrow is you. And Rulani, knowing the loss of the game and coping from his ancestors and uncles, you will be caught wanting. So those are the moments that, to me, I'm like, the referees could learn a lot, could improve, and also the game as well could improve in that regard.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Timmy, did you want to say something there?
No, it was no, but I think I'll go back to how we started with this success, Sundowns and Orlando Pirates and probably other teams, Stellenbosch. But I just wanted to say that going back to that, I'm very happy that the response I got, the opinion, some of the responses I got, I think were what I expected, which is not necessarily to say that there was one answer that Pirates or Sundowns successful. I mean, it's opinions. Opinions, of course, it's subjective as well. What success means for certain clubs. It's relative, I think, also. Sundowns are successful. It's not to say that Sundowns are not successful. They didn't play a good season. It's not about that, but I think it's more on paper. If we look at the balance sheet in accounting, we look at that final amount. What did you achieve? What's the amount there? So with Sundowns, the question I posed, it was also that to say, looking at themselves. Rulani looking at himself as a coach, have I been successful? That was my initial question. Going to Pirates as well, looking at themselves, we've won 2 cups, we are number 2. Are we successful? But for me, I think also Sundowns, I just want to close it with this. Sundowns will dominate. I think Shoti, you also mentioned it. Sundowns will dominate for the next, 10 years, ne? Yeah, I wasn't going to say 10, but I said they're still going to dominate for some time. Yeah, so I to a certain extent, I agree with Shoti. And it's because also Sundowns came in and actually exposed what our league has become. And that goes for Pirates and Chiefs specifically, because those were the 2 dominant teams. They've enjoyed the success, they've enjoyed the derbies, the history, the culture. It's good for our football in South Africa. I mean, they made it, what it is. It's always Pirates, Chiefs. But I think for having said that, Sundowns will still dominate. Motsepe is a businessman, remember. It's all about business. It's all about business and also, of course, the football, the entertainment. But I think it's two-folded. So Sundowns will still dominate in that sense. I think Pirates and Chiefs will have to still do a lot of work, They exposed the standard of our football. Maybe it's something that we needed to see. And I think it's going to be a dominance for some time.
Let's have the president have the last word.
No, I think just a quick one on what he's saying. And I think one of the areas we must also not forget now is that Sundowns is no longer competing just here in South Africa. They are competing at continental level. And if you look at what has been happening with Al Ahly, even in their worst season, Al Ahly will win the league in Egypt. Same goes with TP Mazembe, same goes with Esperance as well. And one of the other things that before, with when it comes to transfer fees, North African teams were dominating on transfer fees. But if you go and look on the FIFA documents, it comes to transfers now, Sundowns is the one that is rivaling them. Because I know there's an issue here that Sundowns will spend 200 million. But the teams that they're competing with on the continent
spending the same
will spend. Yeah. There's a season where Al Ahly spent close to 100 million rands on a player. You know, and this is the Sundowns. These are the teams that Sundowns has been competing with, and hence they were also in the semi-finals. And we're pushing them to say they must win this Champions League again. So to win this Champions League, what must they do? They must buy players who are at that level. Maybe the only thing that I will blame on Sundowns is you see the imbalance. Coach was talking about earlier on the genetic makeup of players, and you see how Sundowns is missing having a grafter from West Africa or from East Africa, because in terms of their recruitment they've been focusing more in South America, and you could see how this is lacking, especially when it gets to crunch moment in the CAF Champions League. So I think maybe introspection now as they recruit, they must seriously reconsider not signing those tough and strong West African or even East African players.
They change and add more spice.
No, because coach, we need to have a South African team matching those strong North African teams, because what is happening now, if we can just close our ears and eyes and just think, what is happening with North African teams dominating the African competitions? It's something else, because there is no other team. The last team from sub-Saharan Africa to win the Champions League was Sundowns in 2016. Yeah. And now, even in the finals, they are just playing against each other.
Confed.
Exactly. They are just playing against each other. So if Sundowns can do it, then so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. Some very thought-provoking stuff there from all of you, and some interesting picks in terms of your moments of the season, that it wasn't confined to just moments on the field of play. It's been a fantastic season, record-breaking, some stellar performances. The awards are still to be dished out. It'll be very interesting to see who those goes to. Once again, my thanks to my panel here. Fantastic set of brains that we had with us here, reviewing what's been, for me, one of the most memorable seasons. That's going to do it then for this installment of Diski Chats for the 2023-2024 season. Here's to looking forward to 24-25 from all of us. Myself, Thabiso Tema. It's goodbye.